Hello everybody, my name is Loran Balint. I'm the Managing Director at Publicis Sport and Entertainment Romania, and I will be the host of the next panel, Joacă, pentru Viață, Investing in the Quality of Life of Younger Generations. We will cover this very important topic together with our panelists, people with a huge experience in the area and with the real power to change for the better Romania. Before introducing them, I would like to thank you for being part of this event. I'm sorry that we couldn't meet face to face. Have a chat over a cup of coffee before or after the session. We are living in very difficult times and we had to adapt to them. I would like to introduce our panelists. We have with us Mr. Mihai Covaliu, President of the Romanian Olympic and Sports Committee.
Thank you for the invitation.
We have Mr. Ionuț Stroie, Minister of Youth and Sports Government of Romania. And last but not least, Tom Ferry, Executive Director, Sports and Society Program, Aspen Institute, USA. Hello and welcome, everyone. What an exciting Bucharest Forum 2020, and what an interesting topic we have today, Joacă, pentru Viață, Investing in the Quality of Life of Younger Generations. Let's just start out with a brief perspective on what does the quality of life of younger generations means to each of you and your organizations. Mr. President Covaliu, can you start?
Hello everybody. Hello Tom. Hello Minister. Thank you, Laurent, for a short introduction. And of course, sport is about the joy of life, about the life lived with joy. The joy of doing sport for me means the joy of living for a dream and to have as many experiences in life as possible. The joy of competing with other children in different sports activities, both individually and as a team. I always said that I had a very beautiful and in a very happy childhood in Brașov, my hometown. And I had a beautiful experience in sport, including in kindergarten, where I won my first diploma in a tricycle competition, and further in primary school, where I participated in athletics, handball, football competitions, and finally I got to fencing. In conclusion, I was a happy child, also because the sport and also due to sport. And I tell you that I still have friends from the period when we met. We remember those beautiful moments. So I can't concept my life without sport and without joy of sport.
Okay, thank you. Minister Stroie, what does the quality of life of younger generations mean to you?
First of all, dear Laurent, thank you for the introduction, and allow me to thank Aspen Institute as well as the German Marshall Fund of the United States for the efforts in organizing this year's forum. From my point of view, this is an excellent example of resilience and adaptation to the constraints imposed by the pandemic. And I am particularly grateful to the organizer for including the panel dedicated specifically to sports and their importance for individual and public health. Now, Lauren, to your question, the role of Ministry of Sports is to be the closest and most approachable partner young people have in the central administration. The ministry must become relevant for young people in order to be able to design and implement good, relevant, effective public policies. And speaking of public policies in raising the quality of life for young people, I believe that sport is an essential aspect of that. To all, sports is a source of health, of education, of values. To some, it represents the perfect career choice. Moreover, still on the topic of Romania's youngest generations, and I'm referring now to our youth, we have a new approach to creating and implementing public policies for this sector, one that I believe will be most beneficial for all the parties involved. We like to call it public policies for young people made by young people. And this ministry aims to offer real support on various aspects of young people's life. And I would like to name some examples. We are currently working on a program involving a category of young people referred as to needs. That means not in education, employment, or training. And we will not only train them, we will offer financial support of up to 25,000 euros for their best business ideas. And another project that I'm proud of and that will impact the lives of our young generation is related to the non-formal education, training, and even leisure. And I'm talking about our leisure centers and camps that soon will be renovated through European funds. And I'm proud to say, so far, we have drafted projects that will attract over 100 million euros in the next few years. And these locations will be modern, will benefit from all the necessary infrastructure to support a large scale of youth activities, and they will be comparable to those from the European countries such as Spain, Norway, or UK, which have a tradition in this field.
Okay, so quality of life, sport plays a key role, and but not only sport; it's more than sport.
More than sport. I mean the non-formal education ideas. I mean the programs designed for the youngsters, the business idea that they have, the way we can support them and also to encourage them to develop their ideas, of course.
Okay, Tom, would you please also answer the question?
Yeah, sure. So, sport is not a nice to have. The research suggests that it is extremely valuable to the development of both children and effective communities. We know that children who play sports are 1/10 as likely to be obese. They're more likely to stay in school. They're more likely to go to college. They're more likely to get a good job, as they move into adulthood. They are more likely to be active. And because they're more likely to be active, they have both lower incidence of chronic diseases, about 13 different types of cancer, as well as many other chronic conditions. They are much less likely to suffer. And because they are active adults, they are active parents, and they become good role models for their children who think that a good life consists of being active. So this effort, and I commend everyone in Romania, the ministries, Mihai and the Olympic Committee and Aspen Romania, for doing a really terrific job of focusing on the opportunity to build a better Romania through sports and youth, because play is the work of children, and if we give them the opportunity to play, good things will come out the back end.
I love the name of the projects you are doing in USA, Play for Life.
Indeed. Yeah, well, it's because it's not just about children playing. It's about children playing so they can become active adults. It is part of a continuum. How, from the moment children are born to the moment people die, how do you present them with recreation and physical activity that makes them healthy and gets them out into the community, and they can develop the bonds and the trust among fellow citizens to build an effective democracy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly 1 year ago, we met at the House of Parliament in Bucharest for one full day dedicated to sport at the Aspen Institute's Play for Life Summit. And I noted back then a general consensus. Everyone agreed that we have to get our children to be more active, and we should do it through sports. I'm happy to see that we are still in the same consensus. Would you please tell us what you and your organizations did in the last 12 months, and what are the plans for the next 12 months to get our kids more active through sports? Mr. Minister, Stroye, if you can start. You already mentioned
Yeah, yes.
So
I already mentioned some, but from my point of view, the most important aspect, in my opinion, is the change of philosophy that the government has brought. Previously, the Ministry of Youth and Sports was preoccupied almost exclusively with the elite sports. At this moment, however, just to focus on mass sport, with particular emphasis on sport for young people. And this is now the central part of the new institutional design of the ministry, which has been just recently reformed. Moreover, I have asked my colleagues from the ministry and from the subordinate institutions to prioritize young people in every aspect of their work. The most recent program we have initiated is to help children who want to take up sports. This program allows children aged between 6 and 15 who join a sport club for the first time to receive a voucher in order to purchase sporting equipment. With this program, we aim to encourage 100,000 children to practice sport in a safe and controlled condition offered by the registered sports clubs. And some of these measures have been unfortunately slowed by the pandemic, which hit sports particularly hard across the globe on a scale nobody would have ever imagined. But just think that this was the first time that the Olympics have ever been postponed during peacetime. So since the beginning of the pandemic, our most important task was trying to restart sports in a gradual and calculated and safe manner. That holds true for all sports and all the age groups. We have constantly tried to create the legal frame that would allow as many people as possible to practice sports. But our most important priority was protecting the health of all those involved in sports. This year was full of measures that we were trying to give to the sports in order to have healthy people. So despite this difficult context, we have some big plans for the following year, a number of projects such as Generation 28 that will focus on bringing sports and benefits closer to the young generations. And we are looking here for some kind of mentality change. We want physical activity to become a lifelong habit for the children. And not everybody has to follow a career in sport, but everybody needs to exercise and everybody needs to work out to be active. And another pillar of my vision for the future is attracting European funds for our investment. I mean, the sports infrastructure, camps, the leisure centers, and I am proud to say that this large-scale project is starting to shape up. We made some concrete steps towards this objective, and I'm proud of it. Probably the next year will show us all how to improve the infrastructure through the European funds.
Okay. Now the Romanian Olympic Committee is focused on the high performance athletes. Still, Mr. President, if you can tell us what happened in the last 12 months regarding kids and what are the plans for the next 12 months?
So if we talk about the project of the last 12 months, we must first of all talk about the preparation of athletes for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, which continue even if the Olympics were postponed and even if we were faced with a situation never before seen, this coronavirus pandemic. We are confident that we will have good results next year in Tokyo. And returning now to the topic of this meeting, I will list that I have achieved in last year. we came to support the promotion of sport activity. We gave tools to athletes to develop. We gave them, let's say, the fishing rod to learn how to fish. We did not directly offer them fish like a diploma or medal. We offered them equipment, specialized and competitions. So I consider important the journey to the top of the mountain, not the moments when you are on the podium. And it is very important who you have with you in your team, who support you and how they do it. So the Romanian Olympic and Sport Committee, it's supporting the athletes in very stage of their development. One of the example is the organization in the final phase of the Gymnasiada, which is a very good project for our kids. And last year in the Olympic base in Izvorain, representing success, and I'm absolutely convinced that we will see the outcome of this project over the years. Will be some athletes on the Olympic podium. It is the most important national competition for gymnasium children. Also, the project of Romanian Olympic Academy promotes the Olympism and the universal values of the Olympic movement. I will give you some example of the project organized by its a feather called Fair Play, Olympic culture and journalist competition, the Olympic cross country for the different age category from 6-7 years to open, promotion actions in school and sports on the occasion of the International Day of Sports for Development and Peace on April 6th this year. The theme was Be Active, to be healthy and active to win together the fight against COVID. So we have many programs, and we permanently analyzed the sport activity in Romania. We identified a big problem regarding the basis of performance sport, which is closely related to sports for all. Therefore, together with our partners from Aspen Institute of Romania, Romanian Commercial Bank, Ministry of Youth and Sport, and the Ministry of National Education, Fan Courier, and of course, inspired by the Project Play USA, and thanks to Publicis Romania, thanks to you, Roland, we will implement the project called Sportul se joacă. This project, Sportul se joacă, it's a project that will have a great impact not only among children, but also among parents and grandparents who will help the little ones to play, but will also participate in this project, which can be online during this time of crisis. So this project aims to physically literate as many children as possible with the help of physical education and sports teachers and sports specialists. This project will contribute significantly through the 12 Olympic disciplines selected for the start. Athletics, tennis, fencing, judo, wrestling, shooting, gymnastics, table tennis, rowing, biathlon, handball, and basketball. I thank once again to Mr. Minister of Youth and Sport, Ionut Stroian, and to Minister of Minister Anisie for the support that give to this very necessary project for all children and all adults in Romania. I'm confident that this project is organized in order to have a basis of selection for the future elite athletes, for the joy of discovering Olympic disciplines, former champions, national and international Olympic history, stories of great performance. And I have here some examples like Gheorghe Berceanu, of course, Nadia Comaneci, Iliana Stase, Gheorghe Hagi, all the big figure of the big champion of Romanian sports. And of course, we improved the selection base and the base of the performance sport pyramid. So I think we have a lot of work to do, and together with the Minister Stroie and Minister Anisia and all our partners, we will do the right things, and we will do all our best, and we will put all our efforts to develop the sport grassroots base of the pyramid, and last but not least the top of the sport in Romania.
Okay. Now, Tom, Minister Stroie and President Covaliu talked a lot about changing mentalities. When we look at the United States of America, we see sport as being something huge, something amazing, something very powerful. We know from your work that there are still challenges to tackle. Can you tell us what you've done in the last 12 months and what you plan to do in the next 12 months?
Yeah, so I mean, the United States, of course, is a bit of a sports superpower. That is in part because we are just so large. We have 330 million people in this country. And even if you don't do sport development well, there are going to be a few Olympians who are going to do very well coming out the back end. So we actually don't have a very smart sports system right now. And part of it is because we have not, we don't have coordination around how to build up the base of our sports system. Mihai talked about that. You know, it's just a community by community thing. We don't have a minister of sports in this country or a minister of youth. We do have a Department of Education at the federal level, but it doesn't have much of an influence at the local level. So it's a great challenge in this country to develop a coordinated concept on how to move the population forward. And what we know is that actually most kids in this country, ages 6 to 12, from our data, we know they do not play sports on a regular basis. Some do, and they play a lot of sports, but they end up getting burned out or, you know, concussions or whatever else it may be. And some do have a good experience, but it is not a very efficient sports system in this country in terms of producing positive public health outcomes, or even honestly producing, you know, winning Olympians. Yes, we have Michael Phelps and Simone Biles, and we do well in the summer games. But we were fourth in the winter games. You know, Norway, tiny country the size of Minnesota, you know, had 39 medals, many more than the United States. So we could do a lot better in this country, and those are our challenges. It's really about coordination. How do you get the right people around the table and say, okay, how can we work together more effectively, since we don't have the ability for a top-down federal mandate to make it happen. So we're finding some success, but COVID is a major problem. We know from our data that children are playing sports at half the rate they were prior to the pandemic, and 3 out of 10 children, according to their parents and surveys, say that their child has lost interest in sports. So Project Play, we have been sort of coordinating this space for a little while here as a thought leader, as a non-governmental thought leader, and we were making progress collectively. You know, more kids get them playing sports, more coaches trained, even kids at the lower income categories starting to play more. And then COVID hit, and it's like every kid retires. And now we're trying to get them back into the game. And it's going to be a moment of great crisis and a moment of great opportunity as well, we think.
Okay. Any big plans for the next 12 months that you can share?
Well, starting today, we have the Project Play Summit, which is our big annual event, and that's going to be over the next 4 days. It's all online. It's all free content. Anybody, anywhere can register for it. We have Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA. We have Allison Felix speaking. We have the president of ESPN, Vince Carter. We have the president of the U.S. Olympic Committee, Olympic and Paralympic Committee. We have an amazing list of speakers for this event, and they are all going to be focused on this question of how do we turn crisis into opportunity. We're also going to develop thought leadership in schools. So we launched this Reimagining School Sports in America project this year. So we're going to find the best schools in the country that produce positive sport opportunities for kids, and then celebrate them, give them money, reward them, with publicity, and really encourage all other principals and administrators to think about that model or those models as ways to get and keep more kids in sports, because schools are extremely important. Certainly here in the U.S. in terms of providing physical education. I know that's a great challenge with you in Romania as well. But we also have these interscholastic sports teams here. So how do we do a better job of making room for all kids, and not just the best athletes or those kids who are from the homes with money where they can get trained up from a very early age?
Okay. We are following closely what you are doing there. I love what you are doing, and I especially love the campaign Don't Retire Kid. That is so insightful and focuses on one of the issues that USA is facing today, the dropout from kids. I understand that now with COVID, it becomes even more important to have such a push to stop kids from dropping out from sport. In the next minutes, I will need the help from our technical colleagues. If you can please put on the screen the PowerPoint presentation, because, okay. President Covaliu already mentioned the project that the Olympic Committee, the Ministry of Youth, together with other partners, did in Romania. We first presented it 1 year ago in the Aspen Forum, and now we can publicly say that the work had been done, and we are ready to show it to the world and implement it around Romania. So please, if you can click, I will need the assistance. Next slide, please. Okay, so I mentioned the Don't Retire Kid campaign from the USA, very powerful one, going for a very specific objective. In US, a lot of kids do sports, but at age 11, 12, they drop out. And then they decide to retire from sports and go and do other things. In Romania, the challenge is different. Next slide, please. It's not about dropping out from sport, it's dropping out from physical education at all. Kids don't do physical education, don't move, don't do sports, not as much as they should. Next. We want to tackle this through different actions, different projects. In this project, we focus on encouraging sport sampling. Kids will have access to 12 Olympic sports. They will have the opportunity to understand them and to discover them. And then by reintroducing free play in school, sport is also fun, is enjoyment, is the joy of life. It's not only effort and results. Next slide, please. Best, I will let the work do the talking. The entire campaign is centered around the idea, who said that you need special resources to do sports? Who said that you need a boat for rowing? And the next slide, please. I will show you some of the movies we did. We don't have sound, but sound is not important, it's just music. Basically, here you have an example of kids playing rowing. You don't have water, you don't have a boat, but kids do play together. It's cooperation, it's coordination, it's speed, and it's an opportunity for the adults, being them physical education teachers or the neighbor next door who wants to play with the kids, to introduce the kids to the rowing and have fun together. And yes, it's the boat of 8 winning. The first to go through the line wins. It's one of the 135 exercises that we will we produced, and we put it on a website that people can access anywhere in the world. Another example, we are still in rowing. For each of the 12 sports, we put together more than 10 exercises per sport that can be used to play with kids. It's the boat of 8, but it can be the boat of 2, it can be the boat of 4. And as you can see, kids have a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, this is key. First, to love sport, and then when you love a sport, you will dedicate more time, more energy, more resources. A third exercise from rowing, just to showcase with one sport what kind of exercises you can do. It's the boat of 2. Again, it's coordination, it's cooperation, it's speed, all essential element in rowing. And you have the kids, of course, dirty is good sometimes. Getting dirty is good. We should not be afraid of getting dirty. Maybe we knock each other a little bit while doing the exercise, but it's not a problem. It's discovery, it's learning. Sportul se joacă, sport is play. More than 130 exercises. Who said you need a mask for fencing? Can we please go to the next slide? Another sport, another exercise. And you don't need special equipment to enjoy sport, to have fun, to learn different tricks. Here you just need a piece of cloth. If in the previous exercises you just needed some grass, here you need a piece of cloth and of course have fun with tricks. It's serious to a point, but then we should not forget that kids should love what they are doing. Who said that you need a kimono for judo? And if you can go to the next slide, it's another exercise, playing like judo. Today's kids are raised in the cult for diversity. They do a lot of things every single day. They don't like to do the same thing. If in sport we do the same things again and again and again, kids will get bored. They are raised now in a culture where they have access to a lot of resources. We are providing adults, Romanian adults, with the tools necessary to play with the kids. You can play in a lot of ways and have fun. Again, it is about physical education in school, but it is also for the adults to play with their kids. Now, this is just a short demo on the website. You will go on the website, but I think something happened with the movie. Anyway, it's fencing. And you see, it's very simple. You have all the exercises available. You click on an exercise and you can discover what it is all about. It is user-friendly. It's nothing sophisticated. So anyone, however young and old, can use it and discover the sports. This is another exercise, another fencing one, and okay, the technology is playing a trick. We are now at the next slide, probably it clicks somehow. Can we go back to one slide, please? We have a lot of athletes, successful athletes from Romania that are ambassadors of this project, and they will promote the exercises and the project. Next slide, please. Why we are doing this? Because we believe that sport for everyone. Who said that sport is not for everyone? You can be tall, you can be short, you can be slim or not so slim, you can still play sport and you can still enjoy movement. Next slide, please. Click to start. Would you please start the movie? Okay. There is a movie here if you can play it. If not, they were just kids dancing and enjoying life. Again, it's not very serious. Now we have this. We have all the sports represented, but we also have another pillar. It's creativity. You don't need special tools to play sport. You can have a paper book and you can play table tennis. You can have a stone and you can play with it. And Romanians are famous for their creativity. We should nurture it. We should develop it. And we should invite kids and adults to create instruments and to innovate. Next slide, please. And we can do another thing. It's who said that you have to sit on the side if you are exempt from the physical education class. You can be the assistant of the coach, you can be the one preparing the tools necessary for the class. You can get involved if you want to be involved. Right now, if you are exempt from the physical education, you just sit on a bench. But we give a lot of ideas on how these kids can play an active role in physical education classes. Next slide, please. Because and if the movie starts, it would be great. If not, we move forward. Can you click it? Okay, no problem if you can click one more. Next slide. We have social media, Facebook page with a lot of ideas, a lot of new exercises. It's an open source platform, open for ideas coming from all over the country, all over the world. Thank you. This is the presentation. We have a few minutes left. Time is not our friend, and I would like to ask our panel members, especially Tom, first, what do you think about this project, Tom?
With how much content you've been able to create and how much coordination across really the ministries and the Olympic Committee. It's really an example of how a group of motivated people can come together and change things in a very short period of time. You are laying the groundwork with this content and with these concepts to deliver measurable results, you know, at every stage of your sport system, the base all the way up to the Olympic system. So all I can say is bravo, keep going.
Okay, now, Mr. President, why did you do this project? What did why?
Because it is very simple. Because we need it. Because we need it. It's very simple answer. And of course, I have my personal example, if I could say like that. I personally went through all the stages that this project is developing now. I dreamed and I start performance sport by playing them, and I discovered my passion for life. My journey to all the podiums of the world began by playing and starting the school. And sport built me as a man, and shaped my character, and educate me to be a fighter. And I think, and I'm convinced that I'm an honest person, and fair, and for whom the values are correctly set. I keep the joy of doing things, of building performance. And our society needs more joy, especially in these very difficult times. More energy, more trust. During these times when we live more virtually and we communicate virtually. In this period, sport offers all of this to those who come to it. So we have the duty as parents and as people who are involved in sport administration to offer children the chance to discover their passion, their calling, to follow their dreams and to reach the star. And as you mentioned, Laurent, we encourage creativity. For instance, to use a plastic bottle to play with it, we make a milestone, a landmark, or a claw to throw instead of a glove for fencing. This way, we also recycle materials, and we are careful with the environment. We become responsible, and we keep creativity. So if you're looking to the logo of Team Romania, that logo means together. That logo, it means heart and team spirit. It means joy and in unity in all our diversity. So I think it's this project. It's what we needed, and that's why I consider this project very, very important for all the kids from Romania.
Mr. Stroie, why did you do the project?
There is no need to explain the numerous benefits of physical activity for all, but particularly for the children. There was an obvious need in our society for such a project. Let's look at the data, and the statistics show that 63% of the Romanian population never exercise or play sports. So we aim to increase the physical literacy of the children, first of all, and that is to help them develop the ability, the confidence, and desire also to practice sports and live, of course, an active life. Of course, we are looking to create habits at the level of the children, to of course, instill some values, to help them to have a future generation to lead active, healthy lives. So we have some data that clearly shows that the things are a bit upside down in Romania, even when we talk about professional sports. And practically, there are few children practicing sports in Romania that they are seniors in this moment. And this is an unusual and unfortunate state of affairs, of course. It is therefore imperative to translate the objective of having more children embrace the values of sports into some concrete public policy and public awareness campaigns. Joacă, pentru Viață, Play for Life, is an example of a very complex program designed to bring together government authorities, civic society, to work together for this purpose. And we at the Ministry of Youth and Sports have embraced this program immediately. We had no hesitation in signing the protocols with our colleagues from the Ministry of Education, with the Aspen Institute, and congrats and thank you very much. And with, of course, with the Romanian Olympic and Sports Committee. It was, I think, in July 2020. Mihai Covaliu played the determining role in this approach. He's one of my closest colleagues and, of course, assistant. And thank you very much, of course, you guys at the Aspen Institute.
Okay, now again, time is almost run out. Before closing, I still want to ask you a question that we asked all our ambassadors. And this is a very simple one. What advice would you give to adults that want to play sports with young kids? And maybe we can continue with Minister Stroie.
So we live in complicated times, particularly when it comes to bringing children closer to the sport. And I believe we need children to be active, and we must take every step to encourage them to take up a sport and to increase the attractiveness of sport among children. But we should do so only under strict conditions which safeguard their health and well-being. And I think that the best sport educators are those who are open, who understand that children must have or have to have a voice worth listening, and who adapt their teaching methods accordingly. I cannot stress this enough. sports shouldn't be a chore or an activity that a child is forced into, but rather, I think, a voluntary choice on both the parents and also the children's sides. I want to illustrate this with an example from my personal life. I have noticed that for my kids, it is very important to practice sport in a friendly and very funny environment, free of pressure or of not performing well or enough in the competitions or not being the best. So, from my point of view, we need to encourage the children, to give them the tools to improve themselves, to support them, and we need to help them understand that sport isn't necessarily about winning all the time. I think sports, it's about having fun, about acquiring new skills, about new qualities, and about living a healthy life. And this is my point of view.
Okay, thank you, President Covaliu.
My advice for the parents, it's very short and it's very clear. It is a long-term investment in their children. So the project Sportul se Joacă offers as well options for practicing sport both indoor and outdoors. So now, dear parents, there is no excuse. Just do it.
Thank you. And Tom, one advice for the adults?
Yeah, so my advice to adults would be to understand the research around why children want to play sports. Keep that front of mind. And what we know from sports sociologists is that children want action. They want access to the action, meaning they don't want to sit on the bench and be left out. They want to have a social experience, so an opportunity to make friends. And they want to have an ability to test themselves, to compete. But competing is not the same thing as, this manic desire to win. Adults approach competition and winning differently than children do. Children want to compete. They want to test themselves. They may even cry after the match, but 5 minutes later, they're done. They've moved on. It's usually the parents who are agonizing at the dinner table about what went wrong. And so parents need to understand that children approach competition differently than adults do. And so if you want your child to enjoy sport, to stay involved in sport, to develop as an athlete, then understand how they approach competition. Make it fun. Don't make it about whether you won or lost. You just give them lots of opportunities to be active and test themselves in social settings. And then constantly talk to them. Ask them, hey, what do you want to play? What does fun sound like to you? As opposed to the adult deciding what the child should be doing. It needs to start with the child.
Okay, thank you all. I love the fact that we talked a lot about mentality, about changing mentality, about understanding kids, about adapting quality of life. It's a lot about the way you perceive things, about the expectations you set for yourself. And listening to Tom and looking at what Aspen Institute is doing in US, we all realize that although you might have a very, very strong sport industry and sport culture, there are so many things yet to be done even there. So for all our Romanian audience, my advice would be to understand that life will be always full of challenges. And although there are so many things we cannot do here, we should focus on the things we can do, because there are so many things we can do in Romania. Thank you all and have a great evening and see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liu.
Bye.